Welcome to the third episode of the Sacred Groups of India, conducted by students of Masters of Architecture in Landscape from LS Raja School of Architecture, Mumbai. I am Digvijay, your host for today's episode, and we have Minal Gajjar with us to discuss about the Sacred Groups of Chhattisgarh. Welcome, Minal.
Thank you so much, Digvijay, for your warm welcome.
So, Minal, in our previous episode, we discussed sacred groves of North region and their social, cultural, and ecological importance. Today, we are talking about the sacred groves of Chhattisgarh. So, tell us something about the forest and how it is different from the other groves.
Digvijay, even before we start our conversation on sacred groves, I think it is important to understand its natural setting because it plays an important role in defining the character of vegetation present in the sacred forest, which makes it different from each other. As we know, Chhattisgarh is a state of east central India and is located in Chhattisgarh Plain, which forms the upper Mahanadi river basin and is surrounded by various mountains and plateaus. The eastern and southeastern borderlands of Chhattisgarh are characterized by moist deciduous plant life, but towards the interior, the state flora is replaced by dry deciduous vegetation, often degenerating locally into scrub. This natural setting, along with people living in the region and their cultural and religious belief, makes sacred forest different from each other. But interestingly, these diverse cultures and beliefs share one single motto, which is to safeguard our natural resources.
Yes, I think you started a very fascinating conversation here. We all know that India is a country of diversity, but our ancestors still managed to tie all together through cultural beliefs and stories. And somewhere it is helping us to relate our surrounding environment. Minal, can you tell us how many sacred groves are currently present in Chhattisgarh?
So, in India, we have a center known as CPR Environmental Education Center of Government of India, which surveys the sacred forest throughout the India. And as per the report generated by the authority, there are 600 sacred groves currently present in the region, which is one of the highest in India.
I think 600 is a large number, but with the higher numbers comes the greater responsibility. So, can you elaborate on how people in the region connect to this forest? Because they are the one who are protecting it.
Yes, absolutely. So, sacred groves in Chhattisgarh are spread across the region and it is named differently as per the tribal community residing in the area and the deity they worship. Some of the common names are Matagudi, Devgudi, and Gaudevi. Most of the groves are managed by the local communities, mostly Adivasis, and owned by group of families or a clan. The community rituals are often synchronized with the blossoming of the flowers of the tree in the grove and other agricultural operations. These rituals reveal the close sense of harmony that exists between nature and tribal communities.
Yes, even I have heard of many festivals and rituals associated with changing seasons. While talking about management of this sacred forest, you mentioned about Adivasi community. So what exactly is the relationship of these communities with the sacred forest? Is it just about performing rituals or there is more aspect to it?
I think you asked a very important question here. So, you will be surprised to hear that the tribal communities of Chhattisgarh still reside in forested areas and preserve the sacred groves for social, cultural, and religious purposes. Conservation and worship of these groves form an integral part of the tribal community structure and a caste hierarchy. Their festivals, marriage ceremony, fairs, rituals, and other cultural rites are closely associated with these groves. For the youth, the preservation of the Devgudis and their associated rituals forms the cultural and the religious root of their identity. So, moreover, the association of a tribal village with such grove express the cultural unity of the villagers as well as their diversity to other villages. Thus, they serve as markers of geographical boundaries and tribal territory. Additionally, these groves fulfill their need for food, firewood, livelihood, and medicine. Thus, control over the land and resources is a major criteria for self sustenance.
Yes, I think being responsible for something is the best way to protect it. And that is what we have seen in the relationship between tribals and their sacred forest. But I still would like to understand what are the features of this sacred forest and how one would identify them.
Generally, the sacred groves are present in almost every village in the region. Sometimes the village can have more than one grove, or village may not have a sacred grove, in which case a few villages share a grove. This may be due to increase in population leading to fragmentation of the nucleus villages. Many sacred groves have old giant trees of the girth ranging from less than 1 meter to 2 meters and above. The sacred groves can be easily identified in the rural landscape as islands of forest.
I believe you just talk about a very engaging fact that in some cases villages peacefully share one common sacred grove. But as you mentioned previously, that there are different types of tribal communities in the region, so they might have different deities what they worship. Based on this, do we have typologies of sacred groves in Chhattisgarh?
Yes, you very well pointed out your observation. So in Chhattisgarh, there are mainly 7 typologies of sacred groves, and the main difference between each typology is the prominent species present in the forest, deity situated or worshipped in the grove, and the way sacred grove is used by the community.
Interesting. So, can you elaborate on each typology?
Yes, the first typology is called Fool Sarna. The word sarna means flower bearing plants and trees. Sal trees are the predominant species of this forest. Deity associated with this sacred grove is Sarna Mata, and she is a female deity. This sacred forest is mostly used for the recreational purposes such as ground for children's and marriage ceremonies. Then comes the Sarhul Sarna. The deity associated with this grove is Chala Pachao. She is a female deity. Rituals associated to agricultural production are associated and carried out in this grove. A festival named Sarhul is celebrated in the Sarna in the month of April and March, when sal trees are in full blossom. This grove is also used for various recreational purposes.
So, Minal, in previous typologies of sacred groves, I noticed utilization of sacred groves also depend on nature of deity present in the forest. Is it a case with other typologies?
Yes, right. Nature of deity is also an important criteria which defines the usage of the grove, like our next example, which is Kadmara Sarna. In this grove, Andari Pat is the principal deity, which is malevolent and provide protective function to the society. Rituals are held in this grove whenever the village is under any threat or natural calamity. After that, there is something called as Mahadani Sarna. The principal deity of this grove is Mahadanya. This grove is restricted for the public except during the rituals. Similar to this grove, there is a Buddhadev Sarna, which is again a protected in nature, and women and children are strictly prohibited from entering into the Sarna.
So, not all sacred groves are accessible for people, is it?
Yes, There are some taboos and restrictions you will find depending on the typology of the grove. Some of them are very well protected to preserve very old tree species of the forest. For example, in Mandar Sarna, forest type existing in this grove is of mixed species, unlike other Sarna, where Sal is the dominating one. The dominating deity of this grove is Gohel. This particular grove has a cluster of old trees of Dhavara preserved in the grove, which is the most useful tree of India. The last typology is Samat Sarna, which has archaeological remains of the 8th century consisting of Temple of Lord Shiva. Annually, this grove is used to carry out rituals in the month of Baisakh, which is April.
So you spoke about taboos or traditional beliefs in the local people about these groups. Can you give some example of that?
Yes, so first of all, even if we call it taboos or belief, but in the end, it's a story that helps to protect this important patch of land. So, somewhere, I think it is working efficiently in protecting the forest and its fragile ecosystem. Some of the very common taboos which I came across during my studies are people should not enter into the grove with footwear, hunting, lodging, or felling of the trees inside and near the grove is prohibited. There is a place called as Gadhyadev, and it is believed that people should not go there with the wrong intention. Otherwise, the wild animal or the honeybee present in the grove will attack them.
As you mentioned, different sacred groups are associated with various functions and sometimes it is strongly associated with the tree species. So can you tell us tree species that are common to these groups and their cultural importance?
So most of the tree species in the grove has some or the other belief attached to it, which is followed by the people. Some of the very common trees are sal, Indian gooseberry, beda nut, Indian laurel, black myrobalan, kadappa almond, Indian butter tree, and exile wood. These are the most commonly found plant species in these sacred groves in Chhattisgarh. There are various associations in terms of culture, festivals are found throughout the study, and some of the examples are burger tree, which is a type of ficus tree that is said to be a mini ecosystem in itself. This tree is associated with Vat Savitri Puja. On Amavasya day, married women worship the burger tree by tying the sacred protected thread on its trunk. Then comes the Amla tree. This tree is associated with Amla Ekadashi. Then there is a mango tree which is used during the Amla Pushpa Baksan Vrat and Ashoka tree during the Ashoka Pratipad. And other than this, there are various other tree species which are ecologically important and are protected due to the social and the cultural belief in the region.
Minal, what do you think are the major threats to sacred groves and how are we conserve them?
This old system of nature conservation is at present under series of transformation, both conceptually and physically. It is the rapid change in our community structure and social norms, traditional beliefs and practices which were once the stronghold for sacred groves are fading nowadays. In addition to that, practical issues like population increment, agricultural intensification, development activities also play major role in degradation of the system. Habitat fragmentation is one of the most common threat. Habitat fragmentation basically means when one single patch of forest land is divided into smaller parts, it loses its ecological value. And this situation is present all over the world, and there are various reasons to it. Interestingly, local tribal communities and government have come together to preserve these ancient sacred groves in Chhattisgarh. There are various programs by Government of India with State Forest Wildlife Department which also invite local communities to preserve these sacred forests in the region. Detailed management plans were prepared along with active participation from private and public groups which were put forward. Such initiatives and participation with government bodies help to reduce misconception. A combined efforts help financing a bid for this type of model to be applied and carried out for other groups in the country.
Minal, we are close to the end of this session. Here is the last question. Do you think tribal beliefs are the good practice of preserving sacred groves?
Yes, it is one of the important tools to protect the fragile ecosystem. But I will say, in the rapid urbanization, somewhere we are disconnected from our natural resources. And I think it's high time to bring back awareness about these important parcels of land and conserving it for the future.
Yes, very well said. I think generating awareness in public about these groups and their ecological importance is the only way forward to conserve them. And with this, it is time to conclude our today's episode. Thank you so much, Minal, for sharing your knowledge with us. Audience, stay tuned. We will get back to you with another exciting episode on the sacred groves of India. Till then, thank you and good day.